On the Bernina 790, there is a stitch designer. Now, you know I love decorative stitches, right? But if you can give me a machine where I can create my own decorative stitches, or if I've seen decorative stitches on other brands of machines that I love, but I know I don't have that brand, this machine will allow me to create them. And not just 9mm wide stitches, all the way up to, I've maxed out around 50mm wide stitches. Yes, so you can do the maxi stitches. I'm showing you right here where one of the stitches I've done is a stitch that's built into this machine. But people always ask, how is it so bold on the Bernina Stitching Cosmos online course quilt? And I'm going to show you how you can take any stitch in this machine and make it triple, 3 times the amount of stitches. Now, yes, it takes 3 times as long to stitch, but I don't have to do thicker thread. I just have to have a little patience while it stitches out. I've got one more really close by here. This is another stitch that I did the exact same thing. So I'm going to first show you where we go to get into the Stitch Designer, and then how we can build on stitches that are in this machine, and also how we can create our very own stitches. So first off, if you have a straight stitch and you open the Stitch Designer, that stitch is what's brought in. Let me show you something that would make more sense. If we go into the 700s, I'm going to play with stitch 708, and if I open up the Stitch Designer, that stitch shows up immediately. Now, one thing I do love to do too is start with a stitch that's in this machine, and oh my gosh, there's hundreds of stitches, and manipulate what already exists. But as you can see, there is a grid on the back side, and this will allow you to actually create your own stitch. So if you could see how a stitch stitches out on another machine, or you're drawing it, draw it on a grid, and then we'll be able to translate those points onto this grid as well. So let me just first show you how to triple the stitches, because it is the easiest way to make all your stitches like super bold. So the first thing you need to do is select all the stitches. So this little icon here, it has that little corner symbol with the triangle. That means that there's more inside. I remember finding that and going, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of extras in here. And I found that the last one is what turns all stitches blue. Blue means selected. So once they're all blue, if you want to triple that stitch, if you keep your eye over here, this is the preview window, and you click on the 3 rows of stitches. Look, everything gets bolder. Now this one might not be the ideal one, because those satin stitches also get bolder. I am a fan of actually more of the single line stitches that actually do find and get bolder. But one of the things that I do like about this is, as I brought this stitch in, let's just take a look. We do have some options here. The hand is selected, so I can even like scroll or move around. 9mm is selected right now, so that is keeping me within the 9mm kind of ballpark. If I want to make bigger stitches, we want to turn that off, and we can actually go bigger. So let me just show you what we can do. The last stitch is right here. There's 61 stitches in this particular decorative stitch, and I am a fan of deleting things. So watch what happens over here. I'm going to touch the delete or the trash can, and as I delete out, I'm deleting out this little swirl. So I'm going to just go all the way around until all those stitches, remember, it goes in and then comes back out. But if there's ever a time where you like what you see over here, stop, because you will be able to just go ahead and go stitch it. So that's what it would look like stitched out. It will stitch that repeat and create this new stitch. I'm going to keep deleting because there's something I want to show you. Like I said, I love working with things that already exist. So what if we were to come right here and we notice that we have kind of these 2 leaves on our screen. Now, if you ever go too far, you were like, ooh, I want to back up, remember your undo is right at your fingertips. So undo and redo. So I'm going to bring it right here. What if we were to, once again, select all those stitches and then duplicate them? Let's just duplicate them. So it's really just a row and then a row. But what if we were to take and mirror image it? Now we have, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. There we go. And we can see that this stitch is going to flip around. So now when we stitch that out, we have a totally new stitch. Let's say you want to save that. Remember, you're going to come over to the heart and you want to put it into something safe. And we could even start building up. Maybe we use menu or our saving menu number 4 as ones we make from our stitch designer. So anytime you like something, before you lose it, you can always save it. So we can always come back in here and play around a little bit. So this would be how you can kind of come back and select stitches as you go. So anything that's blue, so right now I'm kind of backing up, highlighting what we had made originally back to about right there. And the other thing that you can do is you can move these stitches. So your stitch length and width knob are also your friends. So you can kind of come here and you can, oh, let's take the 9mm off and watch what we can do. We can create some stitches that are actually bigger than our original pattern. So again, now you do have to remember that where you start and where it ends, that's why you get this big line coming back around. So we could play around with some of those different options. But again, if you just want to bring that around or even just spread it out just a little bit, we can pull that out and it's kind of adding some stitches in there. Now, if you do want to add stitches to the end, all right, so if you want to start adding your own elements, that's what the pencil will allow you to do. So you can actually do a couple things. I'm going to just slide my piece of paper up just a little bit. Your pencil, when selected, can actually draw on the screen and it will turn it into stitches. Again, you could come back and if just one of those was selected here, you can delete back until you were happy with your result. Again, an undo could even bring that all the way away. You will find that as you are, here, let's just delete that. As you are playing with this, the more you realize this is something that you can have fun with. So how about for fun? Let's just do one more thing here. I was kind of in that 700 menu and I started playing with stitch number 723. And as 723 comes in, you can see what one repeat looks like here. And once again, it has 15 stitches. If I delete one stitch, look what it does. It's because of where it stops and where it begins, it gives me that kind of double-backed look. And again, you can kind of go and delete a stitch, and it's giving us different looks of how that stitch will actually be until we're actually all the way back to, look, that could be a stitch. We could highlight all of those stitches and even triple it. So then when I come to stitch out, that might be even a stitch that's kind of in this machine already. I think I've seen something similar to it, but you can create your own combination of stitches. Even to the point, what if we were to highlight all of that, duplicate it, and mirror image it? Not that one, that one. That may or may not be what we're looking for. But what if we were to line that up so it's straight and then move it this way? Oh, take that 9mm off, line that back up. Ooh, does that? See, once you get started, this can totally get a whole new look to this stitch. These are going to be bigger stitches. How big is it? Actually, it's only 9mm because that stitches actually wasn't very big to start off with. Well, let's just try it one more time. Let's take that 9mm off, highlight everybody, duplicate it, and move it beyond. Oh, we could have some fun. So let's just pretend that we are playing all over the place. We are having a whole new stitch that we can start off with and go from there. Let's just X out of this. Let's just go back to a straight stitch, open the stitch designer, and let's just talk about creating our own stitches. So again, being able to plot our own stitches. I know this isn't going to look like anything just at this point, but I always keep an eye on what's going on over here. You can definitely have some fun with plotting out your own decorative stitches, and again, you can just draw on screen and let that be turned into stitches as well. So I hope you'll play around with some of these different ones. You can set up the little grid and you can find the exact things you want to do. Again, I'm going to highlight all of that and delete it so it looks better. But we can come in and find when we want to create our own stitches. That Stitch Designer has so many possibilities. So I hope you'll give it a try. You do have to take a little time and maybe find a stitch that you want to create from scratch, or do like I was doing and start with a basic stitch and see what you could turn it into by just having a little fun with some of the stitch parts that already exist. So give that a try. Check out all of our Bernina Stitching Cosmos online course options. There are links below this YouTube video of even just how to stitch out all the decorative stitches that you have in this machine and what that capability is. Look at these, all these great stitches that you could have in addition to just what is built in to this machine.